According to the Service de Police de Montréal, domestic violence accounts for 30% of crimes committed against persons living on the island of Montreal. And it also accounts for 15% of the homicides on the island of Montreal. La violence conjugale est donc un enjeu prioritaire. Clearly, domestic violence is a serious social matter, but it must receive the full attention that it deserves. For when the issue does make it to the podium, it is often used for other purposes, such as making thinly veiled complaints about immigrants threatening our way of life. That's often when, all of a sudden, women's rights become an issue of major importance. Please don't get me wrong, though. We know that some immigrant women are the targets of physical assaults, so-called honor killings, female genital mutilation, and religiously sanctioned violence highlight some of the new challenges we face in our daily struggle for gender equality in Quebec and Canada. They also demonstrate that minority communities must be involved as full partners in tailoring government programs and social services to the specific needs and realities of immigrant and minority women and girls. But tarring immigration in its entirety with a domestic violence brush is different. It might make for good posturing, but it fails to provide the kind of leadership we need to eradicate the problem. Why? Because it deflects our attention from the fact that violence against women already has a long history in Quebec and Canada, and that sexism and misogyny remain deeply ingrained in our North American psyche. We have only to look back a few months ago to the barbaric sexual assault which took place right in the middle of a British Columbian club and almost instantaneously went viral on YouTube and Facebook. What is particularly disturbing is not only that several high school students were directly involved, but that the assault was transformed into a sort of web campaign in which students were almost clamoring to blame the victim for the attack. We can also look to last year's infamous Chris Brown and Rihanna celebrity saga, when many young people reacted to the high-profile incident by saying, "Rihanna must have deserved that beating." Others even started joking around by saying, "Watch out, I'm a Chris Brown you." Oui, chers amis, 21 ans après le massacre à l'école polytechnique, la violence conjugale demeure un fléau important. Donc, soyons lucides et solidaires. La violence faite aux femmes peut toucher tout le monde. 21 years after the École Polytechnique massacre, domestic violence remains a serious problem in our society. So let us not allow us to be fooled by the rhetoric. Violence against women can affect anyone. Clearly, the challenges are great and the resources are limited. But judging by the energy and determination filling this room, the resolve to eradicate domestic violence is even greater. Fundamentally, this issue revolves around the kind of society we want to establish for ourselves and for our children. Do we want to live in a society in which some of our fellow citizens live in fear for their lives, constantly facing physical and emotional abuse? Or do we want a society in which compassion, reciprocity, justice, and equality prevail? I think it's the latter. Therefore, I encourage you all to continue supporting Women Aware in its essential work, as it's helping all of us achieve that ideal of a society in which everyone, everywhere can flourish. But you too can also play a more direct role by raising awareness among your friends, your colleagues, and your families. Join an advocacy group. Get directly involved. It's that simple, because these gestures, one step at a time, they can help uplift our entire society out of the shadows of indifference and into the shining light of hope, healing, and security. We all have a role to play. Nous avons tous et toutes un rôle à jouer. Donc, saisons l'occasion ensemble. Let's seize the moment together. Thank you.
I just wanted to come up with, tell you a little bit more about Women Aware and some of the programs that they offer. Some of you might not be aware of them, you might not know about them. But mainly they've got three main programs: a community safety through support services, teen dating abuse and prevention, which is important and key because, as Peter was mentioning, sometimes our youngsters or teens are not necessarily seizing the importance of what domestic abuse is or laughing when they hear that somebody was beaten. They also have outreach and education programs. They also take calls. They also have emails. They also get drop-in visits. That's just a sense of what Women Aware does. And they need our help. And in some cases, as Peter mentioned, it might be to become a part of the group, to become a volunteer, to try to make a change. I'd like to present to you now Michel Huot. He's got a performance that is called The Thread of Life. And as you're about to see, it pretty much speaks for itself.
Well, bonsoir. Peter, that was an amazing speech, really. I wrote it. They asked me to do something special for Women Aware. On m'a demandé de faire quelque chose de spécial pour femmes averties. Donc, maestro, let's go the lights. J'espère que vous pouvez bien voir le fil. Ce fil représente femmes averties. This thread represents Women Aware.